Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
There was one heartbreaking side effect of the Diamondbacks' magical run to the World Series a year ago. It was Mike Hazen blaming himself for leaving the team short of starting pitchers for necessitating that awful, terrible, no-good bullpen game that blew up in our faces on the biggest stage in baseball. For a guy who built the Diamondbacks, for a guy who endured the tragic loss of his wife along the way, well, it just felt wrong. Mike Hazen was the last person who should have felt a sense of failure over that World Series defeat. Good news is Hazen has made good in 2024 from the offseason additions to the trade for reliever A.J. Puck on Thursday. Hazen has done everything he can do. He has given this team everything it needs and more. Puck is a power-throwing left-handed reliever who potentially gives the team a fifth elite relief pitcher and a look the team did not previously possess out of the bullpen, and it was the classic Hazen move of snagging a really good player from the fringes of someone else's roster. And remember, locking down the bullpen is precisely what triggered last year's romp through the playoffs. And if there's any justice in the world, the return of Eduardo Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly will not only happen in the near future, they will give Hazen the roster, the redemption, and the happy ending he so richly deserves.
A little unsettling, honestly. I mean, for 8 years, I've sat here and said the biggest thing we've had to address in the offseason is the bullpen. And unfortunately with the bullpen, usually by April 20th, I'm readdressing the bullpen again, just like every other team is. It's just a very complicated ecosystem out there, you know, the amount we have to use them, how many days off we can get them. It's a younger bullpen, which I think is good from a durability standpoint. I think are all healthy. I think we have to get them up and running. We'll see how it goes. We have a lot of good young arms that are.
That was Mike Hazen back in February. He sat down with us when I asked about the bullpen.
Yeah.
And, every year when we talked to Mike Hazen in spring training, he did, address the bullpen, and there was a lot of shuffling going on. He was unsettled that he didn't have to do it, but now he's done something to that bullpen.
Yes.
And people will. I'm going to make a blanket statement, and then I'm going to go back and explain myself.
All right.
The bullpen has been very good this year. People will say, no, come on, Marotta, you're wrong. Look at the bullpen ERAs, near the lowest in baseball. It's a misleading statistic because the way this bullpen and most bullpens are structured is you got your A bullpen for when you are trying to protect a lead. You've got your B bullpen for when things go south. And the B bullpen hasn't been good. But most of the time that they're pitching, they're behind in games anyway. The A bullpen has been very good. And it starts with Paul Sewald, who's, been a source of frustration at times. But what relief pitcher isn't? Kevin Ginkel's been very good. Ryan Thompson picked up right where he left off. Justin Martinez has been, a really pleasant surprise this year. But now you add another accomplished bullpen arm from the left side, which
Dude who throws 98.
Yes, that is. No, I know his name is Puck, but they call that pus when you're throwing that hard, especially from the left side.
I wonder if he's going to be so good, he'll sort of create an organic section of puck heads, Vinny. Right? People even wearing the big plastic black hockey pucks on their head.
I'm just glad that's the way it's pronounced.
Right. Well said. So when I look at this, potentially now you've got Paul Sewald, you got Kevin Ginkel, you got Justin Martinez, you got Ryan Thompson, now A.J. Puck. If he works out, again, that's 5 potentially elite arms you now have stashed away in the bullpen. And that's a good deal. And this is a left-handed thrower, unlike Joe Mantiply, and Joe Mantiply has been very, very good.
Yes.
This is a different kind of left-hander. This guy has got heat. This guy's got a devastating sweeper. And he's, like I said, he's got the kind of look and delivery and stuff that they don't have in that bullpen. So it doesn't cost you a ton. It costs you a couple of prospects. To me, it's a good move. And the fact that Mike Hazen basically was the first one to get things going around the trade deadline. And I'll repeat this earlier. I've marveled at this in the past. The J.D. Martinez thing, he saw a guy he wanted, got out ahead of it, and got a lot of time out of J.D. Martinez for a trade deadline acquisition.
Which actually worked to their benefit because if you remember when that trade went down, JD Martinez had a nagging injury that he suffered. So his I think in his first game as a Diamondback, he tweaked something. So he actually missed a little bit of time, but came back and was just lights out from that point on.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, as I said earlier, the Zach Greinke trade, we all gave up on the idea of getting something back for Zach Greinke. And then he got dealt right at the end of the trade deadline because Mike Hazen held to the value that he deemed Zach Greinke should have. And we all went nuts. Wow. How did you pull that off? So I don't know where this move is going to fall on that spectrum, but it does seem like something that's going to add to the mix.
Yeah, and AJ Puck is not a rental.
Yeah.
He's under team control for a while. This gives Torey Lovullo, as you mentioned, now way more flexibility in the bullpen. If you want to use Joe Mantiply earlier for a lefty against lefty matchup, you have that flexibility and still have an option left-handed. I mean, not too long ago, Torey Lovullo had one left-handed arm in the entire staff in Joe Mantiply. But now Montgomery's back. Rodriguez will be coming back. You add Puck to the mix. A lot more flexibility.
And as I said, if there's any justice in sports, Mike Hazen will get a full team in time to make a difference. Because, again, one of the things that was the hardest thing for me to have to hear and watch was Mike Hazen bearing all that blame for what happened against the Rangers in that bullpen game.
And he was very open and honest about it. He was wearing it. There's no doubt about it.
Because he knew his manager had to wear it. Because he knew that we all had to live it.
Yeah. And look, let's face it. When you have a bullpen game in the World Series, the biggest stage of the sport, it's not the best of looks.
No, it's not.
Diamondbacks and Pirates tonight, first of a 3-game series. You can hear it here on Arizona Sports on 98.7 and the Arizona Sports app.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Murata. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.